It's a pleasure to be in your company. Alhamdulillah, we're very, very grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this opportunity. Just a quick introduction. My name is Shu'aib. I'm from High Wycombe. I'm involved with Wise Mosques there, and I'm working with Islamic Network as a youth development manager. My role is to help develop young leaders up and down the UK, and also liaise with various masajid and to help them engage the local youth. So, alhamdulillah, that's a little bit about myself. And inshallah, I just want to bring you guys up to speed. Islamic Network, alhamdulillah, we are a charity based in the UK. And alhamdulillah, we have various projects up and down the country. Mashallah, Islamic Network, we are a registered charity. And our aim is to empower and support masajid, to provide a service that engages and nurtures the young people in the community. And we do that through a combination of grassroots events for masajid, collaborative events for communities, and leadership development programs for future leaders, imams, and mosque leaders all up and down the country, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So on this webinar, we have a variety of different people. We have imams, we have trustees, we have masjid managers, we have fundraising managers, we have youth leaders, we have a good variety, alhamdulillah, from all up and down the UK, from the north all the way down to the south, alhamdulillah. So it's a great moment, alhamdulillah, to be here with all of you. And so there's a couple of things I wanted to say before, we really kind of delve into the meat of what's happening today. And one of those things is the key message I wanted to present to all of you, which is at this moment right now, dear imams and respected elders, we are in an unprecedented time. We're living in a time now, subhanAllah, where we may never, ever, ever have an opportunity like this ever again. And subhanAllah, right now, we are very blessed to be in each other's company. And right now is a time of solidarity and unity with each other and the Muslim community. And our aim is to help empower you while as this lockdown is happening, to get online, to get engaged with your local community, and to help you, inshallah, build and develop through the foreseeable future while everyone is indoors and on their devices. So, with that being said, the main outcome of our project here with yourselves is that now we are living in an age and in a time where we never thought we would ever see. Just 4 months ago, we never thought we'd be in such a position where our masajid are locked. There is no 5 daily salahs. There is no Jummah prayer. And subhanAllah, I don't think in Islamic history we have ever seen something like this. So right now we are all just becoming accustomed to it. And we're trying to navigate through the next few months, weeks or months or however long it is. And right now, the main aim for us is to understand something, is that our communities are no longer coming to the masajid. They are inside their homes. And although this is an unfortunate dark reality, it's also a very luxurious situation for us as leaders of our communities. Because right now is the time for us to connect with the members of our communities on an individual basis, is to connect and engage with them online. Now is the time where we have their full unprecedented attention as well. And there's a lot more that we can do now that maybe we could have ever done before. Okay? So our aim is to connect every single member of the community to the masajid. You yourself, we ourselves, we all can create and have an impact on the lives of each and every single member in our community. Okay? Our aim is that every single Muslim is connected to the masajid in this time right now. We have their undivided attention. People are at home now. And now is an opportunity to really take advantage of this and capitalize on this. Right? Now, subhanAllah, the doors of the masjid have shut now. And we realize now it's no longer just a place of prayer. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken that away from us. And now how we cope and adapt, it will ultimately define the direction we go in years to come after COVID-19. So the direction we take our masajid now will ultimately be a watershed moment in the history of the da'wah in the UK and in the history of our communities and what direction we want to take. What we do now will reflect 20, 30 years in the future, and wallahi, I truly believe that is the case. So, with that being said, I just wanted to share with you a bit of the dynamic of how we wish to approach this. Ultimately speaking, we are here, and our aim is to empower and help and support the masajid. Now, there are different various masajid here, and you guys have a lot more experience than us in dealing with your own communities. So ultimately speaking, what we are trying to do is we want to establish a relationship with you that allows us to help you long term, inshallah. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to pass over to Ayub, inshallah, and he will begin by speaking about the communication and how to communicate with your community effectively in this lockdown period. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I pray everyone is well. Okay, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Thank you all for joining us. So we're here today to give you guys access to our Taking Mosques digital guide. And there are 4 key areas that we want to help you engage your local community through, inshallah. First is how you can keep them informed through this lockdown. Second is how you move your essential services online, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what those essential services are. Third is to introduce you to some online fundraising tools that can help you through this difficult time, where you have no more Jummah collections or potentially no Tarawih collections, etc. And then I'll be handing over to my brother Hamza, who will take you through how to inspire and educate your community, your individual community, through this lockdown, inshallah. But to continue, mashallah, from the great introduction that Shu'aib did, one of the things that I wanted to reiterate before we continue is that this is not the end of the road. Rather, this webinar is the start of something great, inshallah. The guide that you'll all get access to at the end of this call will be the first point for you to start developing these strategies. But as you can see in front of you, after this call is over, we have a number of different resources available to you. The first of which is that we're going to have weekly fix-it sessions for you every Sunday at this time from 7 to 8 p.m. inshallah, depending on Maghrib times, but around that time, inshallah, where you can drop into a session like this and say, I'm working on this, I need help with that, etc. So we're going to be here with you throughout the month of April, every Sunday, as an open resource to help you however we can, with whatever we can, inshallah. The second is for those masajid who want access to it, you will also, we can also connect you up with a personal coach who can give you one-on-one mentoring and advice on how to implement the plan during the lockdown and beyond. I know for some on this group, you already have some of the tools and some of the techniques and strategies, and for others you don't. Everyone is operating at a different level, so we'll do our best, inshallah, to coach you through your own individual journey. And finally, for the majority of you, mashallah, you've joined this webinar through our global network, through the Telegram group. And that group, inshallah, is going to be our hub for all of us to connect, to share ideas, and to collaborate with the work that we're doing, inshallah. So keep in touch with that group. Don't leave it, inshallah, because over the coming days and weeks, it will become an invaluable resource for you, inshallah. So I wanted to share with you some key communication tools. So normally we would have direct access to our musallis, but we're living in a time of a lockdown right now where we don't have that, and so it's important for us to establish some new resources. And we've broken that down into 3 main areas, inshallah. The first of which is instant communication. The second of which, as you can see there, is community education. And the third is public reminders. And I'll go through each one of them very briefly, because I know you're going to get your hands on this guide. So I want to introduce you to it so you have the understanding of it, inshallah. Now, mashallah, from the surveys that you guys submitted before you attended this webinar, we know that around 70% of you already have a community WhatsApp or Telegram group. And that is fantastic because that is the best starting point for you to connect and engage with your local community. And you're going to hear us throughout this webinar say that again and again and again, local community, because that's really what it's about. Just give me one moment, inshallah, and let me mute everyone on the call. There's some background noise, just a second. And then we have silence again, mashallah. So a lot of you already have WhatsApp groups, which is a great place to start with. But WhatsApp has its limitations, and that's why what we advise, and where you all have, most of you have joined in from, is through Telegram, and for a few key reasons that you can see in front of you. Number one, WhatsApp groups are limited in their number to, I believe, 256, 257 people. So Telegram groups can go up to 200,000 members, inshallah. So they're a great tool to build dynamic communities. Number two, Telegram itself can be managed not just from your phone, but actually fully from your desktop. And as administrators of these groups, that's critically important for you to be able to manage the conversation. Unlike WhatsApp, which most of us are used to using, the admins on a Telegram group have got much more power. You can limit what people, you can control the spam much more effectively. You can control what people share, whether they're allowed to share anything, whether they're allowed to chat, which WhatsApp has as well. But this takes it a step further. So you can restrict whether people are allowed to post images or videos or links, etc. You can ensure that only people who have certain privileges within the group can post and things like that. But the most exciting feature, and this is something that's going to tie in heavily with the educational side of this plan for you, inshallah, is the built-in poll feature, where you can take surveys directly and engage your community directly through Telegram, inshallah. So for that reason, if you have a community WhatsApp group, that's fantastic. Don't close it, keep using it. But we'd highly encourage you to set up a Telegram group as well, and start shifting the conversation and shifting your members over to Telegram, inshallah, because it's much more feature rich, and for what we're building here as individual communities, individual masajid, individual leaders in the community, we want to build something that is long term, not something that is short term. And everything that you see in the plan today, and everything that you're going to get access to afterwards, and the conversations that inshallah we're going to be having, will always be about the long term. Will always be about where do we want to take your community in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, inshallah. And to do that, you need to be thinking about the long term in terms of the systems and the technology that you use, inshallah. And in the guide, which you can see in front of you, there'll be details on how you can set up your Telegram group, inshallah. I won't go through that with you now. The second area is community education. So again, based on the survey, only around about 70% of you have closed down your madrasas or your regular classes. So the solution, there are many, mashallah, amazing free and paid options out there for you to start running online classes. And what we've done is we've been through each and every one of them for you, whether that's Zoom, which is really popular at the moment, whether that's GoToWebinar, or many others. And the one that we recommend that you adopt, at least initially, is WebEx, inshallah, and that's the platform that we're using today. The main reason for that is that the free plan, which they have, allow you to do a number of different things, like you can see it in front of you, such as class recording. You can have unlimited class duration. So a lot of the free plans on other platforms like Zoom, etc., they have limitations. You can only run a class for around 40 minutes, inshallah. Whereas on here you can have unlimited duration. And on those platforms as well, they have a limit to the number of participants that you can have, inshallah. And of course, all the classes that you do can be viewed through, online, through the desktop app and through a mobile app, inshallah. In the coming webinars that we're going to have every Sunday, we will go into some of these platforms in a little bit more detail and help you to get the most out of them, inshallah. So in the guide that you have, you'll have the details there on how you can set up your WebEx account. So we've been through two areas so far. The first area was instant communication. For that, we recommend Telegram. The second area was, here we go. Second area was community education. And for that, we recommend WebEx. And the third area is, there it is, public reminders. Now, public reminders are really popular right now, mainly because they're really easy to do, inshallah. And it's something that, when we get to the education side of this plan, we're going to be encouraging you to do public reminders using a platform like Facebook every Friday, inshallah, to replace your normal Jummah reminder. But the point that we wanted to stress through the guide here and through this webinar is not to fall into the trap of thinking that, oh, just going live on Facebook is enough or is sufficient. The Facebook itself as a platform, it loves live video. It prioritizes live video. However, what it doesn't do and what you don't have the ability to do is directly engage with your local community. So when you go live on Facebook and people share your live video, if that's all you're doing, you may not be reaching your local community. And again, we come back to local community. It's all about, for us, it's all about how do you engage and nurture the individuals in your community. The individuals in our communities, they can't come to the mosque, so we have to bring the mosque to them, inshallah. But once a week, and as part of the content plan that we're going to share with you later, inshallah, we do encourage you to go live, set up a Facebook page or a private group, and go live on Facebook, inshallah, on Fridays. And finally, to conclude this first section of what communication tools to use, there are so many other amazing tools out there. We've brought you a selection here of things that you could do. For those of you who are registered charities, I would definitely encourage you to register with Google as a non-profit, and they will give you access to a huge range of free resources, inshallah. Then, as you develop, this plan has been set up in this way so that you hit the most important targets first. The most important target, in our opinion, is that you get your local community Telegram group up and running as soon as possible. Set up the group, invite people, get people to share the link out, and start growing that local community. These other tools that are here come later. So, for example, when you're ready for it, using a service like MailChimp for email marketing, or when you're ready for it, creating graphic design help using a tool like Canva, and as we've been talking about in the group, for your website using a platform like WordPress. But all of these things are later in the stream. The priority, inshallah, is to start communicating with your local community, because your local community members are the ones being shut off. And alhamdulillah, for most of the people in our community, they use the mosque for a number of different reasons. And once those tools are established, once your local Telegram group in particular is established, we've got 4 different things here that we think you should be communicating out regularly to your musallis. So number one, what is the process for organizing a janazah at your local mosque? This is the reality of the coronavirus situation, is that it is we are nowhere near the peak of this pandemic. So may Allah protect us and our families from it, but we need to be prepared for it. Second, are you still offering to officiate nikah ceremonies and letting your community know about that? Number 3, what are the mosque opening times, if your mosque indeed is still open? If the building is still open but you're not doing congregational salah. And for there we go. Number 4, what are the details around essential voluntary or public services that the mosque are running? So, mashallah, in a number of your organizations, you have food banks or other services. So, you need to be communicating regularly with what those, with what the details around that are. Many of you, mashallah, are running neighborhood projects to provide support to those who are in isolation or in quarantine. So you need to be communicating that out, and using your local Telegram group is the best way to do that. Finally, in this first section, is to move your essential services online. And as it says there, the mosque is more than just a prayer space. So we want to move we want to help you move things like ask the imam, your kind of drop-in session to ask the imam online, and also to help you set up quarantine or self-isolation sessions where people who are at home, especially maybe older members of the community, etc., where they can drop into you virtually and connect with you. So for once you create your WebEx account, and you can see everything in the plan is tied together. This whole section here is integrated with, is built on you creating your WebEx account, because what WebEx allow you to do is have an online lobby where people can join, or people can drop in for consultations with you. They don't need an invite. They don't need to register or anything. You can have the link in your Telegram group and say, right, every Monday to Thursday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., you can drop into this session to ask the imam anything that you want to ask the imam. And the same goes for quarantine and self-isolation sessions. You can, we encourage you to start exploring online WebEx as an online solution for you to set up these sessions where people who in their homes all around your local community can connect with you through their laptops, through their phones, and just get some engagement, see a friendly face, etc. And through the guide, we're also going to be providing some great advice from the NHS and from other Muslim mental health organizations like Inspirited Minds to help those who are in quarantine and self-isolation and are struggling with it, inshallah. Moving quickly forward, inshallah, because I'm conscious of the time. We have probably the part of this presentation that most of you are interested in, which is online fundraising tools. Now, for most, like Shoaib mentioned, he's part of a local mosque. I'm also part of a local mosque here in northwest London, and we rely heavily on a weekly Jummah collection. Without it, we're lost. And so, for the majority of you, I'm sure this is also the case. So, what we're proposing for you is using a service called Go Cardless that you can very quickly set up with, and then you can start to take direct debits from your local community. But once your account is set up, and the guide will talk you through what the account is to create a strategy where you can run an online campaign, to your local Telegram group, and get them to start donating to the masjid £5 a week, inshallah. And this is really easily done because all they need is their account number and sort code, and they can start donating. So just to give you an example here, one person giving £5 a week, £20 per month, £240 per year. This is a scalable model. This will grow with you. So imagine 100 people, 150 people, 200 people, inshallah. And like I said, we have a whole webinar in the coming weeks dedicated to helping you set up this as an online, setting up this online fundraising, setting up Go Cardless as your new income stream to replace lost income from my collections, inshallah. The final part in this plan, inshallah, is online fundraising, inshallah. And for a number of you in the group, mashallah, you've already shared with us that you've created a Just Giving page or a Launch Good page or a Muslim Giving page to raise the essential funds that you need. And this is a really simple strategy that we're encouraging you to calculate what is the minimum amount that your mosque needs to continue, and quickly create a page to help you do that, inshallah. Now, this is also a huge opportunity for us as mosque leaders, as imams, to create trust and transparency with our community, so they can see, how that figure is broken down. Whether that's broken down with rent and utilities, salaries, and all that kind of thing, inshallah. There's a time for us to create trust and transparency, and empowering our community to donate towards us, to donate towards at least the next month of your running costs, inshallah. And then after that, we'll see. Finally, just a quick note before I pass it over to our brother Hamza. If you are not registered if you're in the UK and you're not registered to accept gift aids, we highly recommend that you get registered as soon as you can through HMRC, because that just adds 25% on top of your donations without you having to do anything. And especially if you use platforms like Muslim Giving or Just Giving, when people donate towards you, all of that gift aid is automatically processed and calculated and given to you. For Go Cardless, we can train you on how you can manage that gift aid process. And if you use LaunchGood, mashallah, they've offered to help you to do that as well, inshallah. So Jazakallah khair for sitting with me through this. Don't worry, you're going to get a copy of this guide, and the group is just coming alive now for you to ask questions and to implement these strategies, inshallah. And of course, we're going to be having webinars like this every Sunday throughout the month of April, inshallah, coming up to Ramadan, to help you get these things up and running by latest by Ramadan, inshallah. But for setting up your Telegram group, I think that's something that you could do today, inshallah, this evening or tomorrow, and start that conversation, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. I'm going to pass it over to our brother Hamza to talk to us a little bit about the education plan that he'll be working, that he's developed for you, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على من بعث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So just before I get into the actual education content and just an overview of it, one of the things that I'd like to sort of really re-emphasize on, there's 2 or 3 things, is one, with the communication tools. The education process, and it will only be powerful and impactful if we can set up, the Telegram channels, the WhatsApp broadcast list. If we can set these things up, once we have that set up, inshallah, then it will make this current thing that we're going through a lot more powerful. The second thing that I'd like to sort of re-emphasize that Ayub sort of touched on is actually the whole online fundraising. I remember about a year ago when myself and Ayub, we sat down. Being a registered charity ourselves, we obviously rely heavily on fundraising, and we actually made a decision not to do like single pledges and focus on high amounts, and we actually focused only on direct debits. Whilst we were collecting less income, the income we received was actually more manageable, and also even right now through the crisis, people that set up direct debits a year ago, 6 months ago, even before that, we're still getting those regular direct debits. For example, if someone was to set up with you £10 a month on a regular direct debit, and let's say you had 200 people giving £10 a month, that's £2,000 you have extra a month. Even when you come out of, it might take about 6 months, but when we get out of the current situation that we're in, this whole process will really bring you guys in a much stronger position. You can do a lot more for the community that you serve, inshallah. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to sort of just re-emphasize on. And the final thing to re-emphasize on is, subhanallah, if we look around the UK, and I don't want to go on about this too much because a lot of people know I speak about this a lot, that we are actually in a dire situation. Forget about coronavirus for a second, right? If we look at the Muslim youth, if we look at Muslim adults, you look at gambling shops, in Muslim populated areas, they're filled with people with Muslims. If you look at knife crime, prison rates, people that leave Islam, if you look at premarital relationships, if you look at just the different issues that people go through, there's a lot more as masajid we can do. And I truly believe that through this current situation, there'll be some of us that come out of it as real leaders, not just by name but by action, that we can set up real platforms and real processes that allow us to serve our communities. And especially right now, the clubs are closed, the bars are closed, people are not going out. It's a prime time to really get our communities on the right platforms. So with the education sort of plan that we have, is split up in daily reminders and weekly reminders. So through from Monday to Friday, there's stuff for the local imams and the local active people to speak about, inshallah. And then on the weekends, on the Sundays, Dr. Osman Latif will do something on mental health every week, because obviously right now is a really, really tough time for anyone going through mental health issues. So for example, if you're someone that suffers from anxiety or depression, or you have bipolar disorder, if you have to self-isolate right now and you're scared about coronavirus, etc., your mental situation is going to be in a far worse position. So on the Sundays, we focus that purely on mental health from an Islamic perspective. And Dr. Osman Latif will be sharing regular videos that we can push out to our community as well, inshallah. And then on the Saturdays, we have a series called Why Allah Deserves to be Worshipped, that we'll push out for you guys, inshallah. So from the Monday to Friday, there's a brief education plan. But just so you guys know, the way that we created the education plan, we took in mind that with things that will already be out there, so there's no need to repeat things. And secondly, we focused on that day, on that time, before Ramadan, in Ramadan, after Ramadan, estimating the sort of issues that will be there with the current situation. The plan that we put together are things that your community really needs. The auntie at home who doesn't really go out much, the uncle, the sister, the brothers. So the education plan is focused on your community. It's not something that you may not get a viral video out of it, for example, but it will have a big impact on the people that would normally attend. And actually, this Ramadan, there most likely won't be Tarawih. There may not even be Eid Salah. There won't be Qiyamul Layl in the masjid. There won't be Jum'ah. Ramadan is a time when people really rely on the masjid to come back to Allah, to come closer to Allah. Hopefully, with this education plan and having the right infrastructure with the groups, etc., we can carry on doing that. So we will share this education plan with everybody on the group. And before I get into it, the third benefit of following the education plan is that, imagine right now we have about 50 people on the group. Imagine just 30 of the imams. They push out the same sort of topics every day. You actually have a ripple effect on the communities as well. So the way that we focused it, so on the Wednesdays, we're focused. So the education plan will start from the 1st of April on the Wednesday. So every Wednesday we have stories. So on the first Wednesday, for example, you can see stories of generosity. That can be based on Sahaba, that can be based on today's real life examples, family examples, but these are just 2 to 5 minute reminders. On the Thursday, on the Thursdays we have preparing for death. As you know, right now, death is in the news, is something that we're hearing about every day. Many of us already know people that have passed away. So every Thursday there'll be topics on death. So for example, on the first Thursday, the importance of having an Islamic will, as an example. On the Fridays, we have the live Q&A. This is where the longer sort of reminders will happen. And plus, it's not really about the reminder itself. It's a chance where the community can ask the Imam questions. What we've recommended and what we'd like for everyone to focus is on the 5th of Ramadan. It might sound like a boring topic. However, already, I myself am receiving questions on, I've got fast to make up before Ramadan, but I heard if my throat is dry, I can get coronavirus, etc. So I think the current situation will have a massive impact on Ramadan. So with the Friday sessions, we wanted to focus on the 5th of Ramadan. And remember, this isn't about everyone. This is for your community. This isn't about how many views it gets on Facebook or how many other people are doing it. You might think, okay, why should 30 of us do it? No, because your community relies on you to teach them. Your community relies on you to teach them. And then the Q&A session is open for people that they can ask you. We don't want people from outside your community to join this. You want it to be for your community. You want the auntie that might be self-isolating, as an example, to have the platform to ask you a question. If you've got 1,000 people watching your Facebook Live, for example, that auntie cannot ask you the question. So this is really, really, really is for your community. If we go back to the plan. So on as I mentioned before, then the Saturday and Sundays we can share the content with you guys, so you can share it within your groups. Mondays we're focusing on health. Every Monday, is that on there? So every Monday the topics are around health. The stronger believer being better than the weaker believer, etc., etc. The prophetic diet, and that's very important, as you know, in this current time. And then there are some general topics we have throughout before Ramadan and Ramadan, etc., like zakah and the importance of zakah, etc. There are some other general topics that are important. So with that, I'll finish, inshallah. I'll pass it back over to you to, inshallah, open it up for Q&A, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Hamza. There are loads of questions coming through, so please shift your questions over to Telegram, inshallah. But if you start to spam the group, then we'll mute you for a while, inshallah. But I pray that everyone has found benefit in this webinar. We will be having regular webinars like this at the same time every Sunday throughout the month of April, inshallah. So to conclude, Jazakallah khair for attending. You're all going to get a copy of this guide very soon, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.